Was one of the most powerful men in the entertainment industry and was within inches of grasping a knighthood. He was a favourite of the Princess Elizabeth and then, of course, Her Majesty the Queen. Princess Margaret considered him a friend. The Duke of Edinburgh often had drinks with him. And then it all went incredibly wrong. So what did go wrong for the King of Entertainment? As ever, let me explain. Morning chums, lovely to see you. Thank you so much as ever for your time today. Welcome one and all brand new subscribers back in my favourite spot. Still clinging on to the flowers, of course, but it is nice to have your company. Whatever you're doing, we'll have a nice wave. Absolutely. What a busy week it's been, and thank you for supporting the longer videos recently this week, because there's been so much to get in, and I just wanted to be able to share it with you so you know what's going on and everybody's up to speed. We all like to know, don't we, the inside track. It's always fun to have those stories, but also the rather shocking stories, as you can imagine, of things like what happened with the break-in inside that particular apartment building in London. Shocking stuff, a world we live in. This particular segment is a bit of light relief, although I think you're going to enjoy it. This is because when you think of this particular building, the London Palladium in Argyle Street in London, it does hold a lot of special place. And the thing about it is, it's the place that everybody wants to play. I've told you this before, you know, it's one of those things that if you've made it, you have made it. The London Palladium is the place, right? And what's interesting again about that being the place is the simple fact that, well, there was one man who really put it on the map way back in the 1940s. This man, the impresario Val Parnell. Now, he may not be known in today's world too much, but there is the Val Parnell bar inside the London Palladium if you go in memory of him. You see, he was a man that really radically changed the Palladium. When he took it over, it was showing films and not doing incredibly well. And he came up with the idea of putting back on vaudeville variety. And he started small but got big. Everybody from Max Miller, Sid Field, to all the greats, the British greats of the day. But he really hit his mark by persuading American superstars of the day, like Laurel and Hardy, Frank Sinatra, Sophie Tucker, Danny Kaye, you name it, they all came. A good friend of mine, Mickey Rooney, bombed. And this is because apparently, according to Mickey, he didn't take Val Parnell's advice, which he said, you're trying to cram too much in, Mickey. Just focus on one or two bits. Mickey admitted years later to me that he thought he knew better, and that what would Val know? He would give him it and they would like him. 2 weeks he lasted and then he was replaced. So he didn't exactly do particularly well for Mickey Rooney. But others, of course, like Judy Garland, big success, relaunched her career after being given the boot by MGM. Now, Val Parnell became so influential. By the time commercial television came along, he, along with Lou Grade and ATV, invented a reinvigorated Sunday night at the London Palladium, first with Tommy Trinder, and then a good friend of mine, the wonderful Sir Bruce Forsyth. But what's interesting again is it's all about power and greed, isn't it? Now, you have to remember that Val Parnell was the man that very cleverly managed to get the royal family, the very first time this really happened, to sit in the stalls of the London Palladium to see their favourite, Danny Kaye. Every other thing was full. They had no choice. He could squeeze them in the stalls, or that was it. They agreed, came back a number of times, thoroughly loved the show, big fan of Danny Kaye. But you see, as the TV show Sunday Night at the London Palladium took off to great success, I mean, you couldn't really imagine this now, but 15 million people plus tuned in every week to hear that famous Star Time intro, and the big stars of the day, whether it be Mario Lanza or indeed our very own, the Beatles or the Searchers, the Dave Clark Five, you name it, everybody wanted to be on that show. And he was the man that you had to impress. But like all good people, things start to get a little bit darker. And the problem with Val Parnell was he thought he was, well, indispensable. Nobody could take his place. He was the king of the Palladium and revered. Now, there were rumours for many years that suddenly he was going to get this award or that award, you know, the sort of thing. And what was fascinating was it was almost there. That is until the 1960s when, well, money turned his head. You see, he'd had a long-term relationship with the Crossroads star, Noel Gordon. In fact, the story goes, they'd been together a long time. But because Val Parnell was Catholic, he didn't want to divorce his wife. And that was the story that Noel was told. He then very quickly, though, got involved with somebody else and things radically changed. And he needed a lot of money. And suddenly, behind the back of the major shareholders of Moss Empires, he decided to sell some of the most revered and beautiful theatres in the land. You will know that many of them got demolished, including places like the Dewsbury Empire and, of course, the theatre in Leeds, the Leeds Empire. They were all quietly sold off. Then this happened. Apparently, Val had plans to sell off the world-famous London Palladium, and that easily could have just been turned into a car park. The rest of the directors got round him, including the impresario Prince Littler, and said, "No way, you're not having the Palladium." He was then pushed out in disgrace. But at that point, and this is the interesting bit, in the middle 60s, he was about to be given a knighthood, which was rescinded because, of course, the royals loved the London Palladium. That's where they went to see the Royal Variety performance. Val spent the remaining few years over in the south of France and back and forth living in Bayswater. He died aged 80 in the early 70s, a man almost forgotten by the world of show business, and a man that almost got the final chink in the chain. But of course, money, power, and certainly people say greed, got the better of him. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.